G'day there everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Welcome to this workshop where today you're going to learn all about creating custom Microsoft list templates for your organization so that you can allow your users to create these repeatable solutions and you can control the schema and the formatting so that everything starts from the same instance of a Microsoft list. Now there's been a few little updates to the extraction of the templates and then also the provisioning of these templates. So we're going to cover these new PowerShell commands that you will use to be able to help you create these templates and deploy them to your users. We're also going to look at how you can control who can see different templates. So we do have the ability to also control who can view those templates, which again allows you to display the right list templates to the right users at the right time so that you're not bombarding people with different choices that aren't really relevant to their role in your organization. So let's get stuck into it. Let's go create some Microsoft lists for your organization. Okay, so to kick this workshop off, we are going to do two things first. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect to the SharePoint Online service, and then we are going to extract our custom list that we have built. Now, where do these custom lists actually get surfaced for people to actually start to use them? Well, you can see here that I am in the Microsoft Lists homepage here, and under New List, you can see that we've got our templates. Now, the out-of-the-box default Microsoft templates are what are shown first under the Microsoft from Microsoft tab. Next to this Microsoft tab, we've got from your organization. So this is where our custom lists that we do extract and then provision will reside for people to use. So that's how people will go ahead and provision or create a list based on one of our templates. But the first thing we need to do is actually set up a list for us to then extract it from. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to create a simple basic new list. Let's base this on our issue tracker. So we can see there that we get a preview of the list itself and we can then use our template. Now I am going to provision this list to a particular site. All right, so let's go to the sales and marketing site. So let's provision it in there and let's call this our Contoso image issue tracker. All right, so that's the name of our list that we're going to use as our template. So we'll create that in that location. That's going to spin that up. And there we go. We've got our default list. All right, but let's add and remove a few columns. All right, so what we might not want to have is our image. So let's delete, we'll delete our image column. So I'm just going to jump into list settings here, and then we'll have a look at our images, and we'll just delete this column. And then what we might do is let's add a new column for us as well. So I'm just going to jump back to our list. Now you can see here that I'm on the sales and marketing team site and I've opened up that same list, but it's a different UI. I'm now in the context of SharePoint. So what we can do here is let's add a new column. Let's create a choice column. We'll hit next and let's just call this issue category. All right, so we'll call this issue category. We'll just leave our choices as choice 1, 2, and 3, and we'll save that there. Now, again, what we might want to do is just change the view a little bit. So let's change the visibility of a few columns. So we might hide a couple of columns. So let's go choose this and we'll unselect date reported and issue source, and then we'll hit reply. All right, so this is looking good. We've got a new column. Let's just move this across here into the first column. This view's been saved, and look, we're now good to go. We're happy with this, and let's now use this for our organizational wide issue tracker. So what I'm going to do now is let's step through the process, and I am in Visual Studio Code here. It can be just a normal PowerShell prompt, but the first thing that we need to do is we need to connect to our SPO service. So this is the command or the PowerShell script or the line of PowerShell here that we would need to run to connect to our service. So you can see here that we've got connect to SPO service with the URL of the admin component. So it's our SharePoint URL with the -admin at the front there. We're using the admin credentials, so we'll be prompted for a password. Now I'm already authenticated here, so this should pass straight through. So if you're not authenticated, you'll get an authentication box to enter in your password. So we're just going to run this line of code. Okay, there we are. So I am now prompted for the password. So I'm just going to grab the password and then we will enter that password in. So we'll paste our password in there and then we will authenticate. Once that comes back and returns, we're all authenticated. So down here, we can see that we're good to go. I might just clear this screen here. And then the next thing we need to do now that we're connected is we need to extract our list. All right. So what we'll do here is we're going to pass in this line of code here. So this is our line. We're going to store this in a PowerShell variable here. We need to pass in the list URL. So let me just drag this across and we are going to grab the URL of our list, and you can see there that I've got and highlighted and copied the URL. And now let's paste our URL in here, and then we will grab our list. So I'm just going to highlight this line of PowerShell. I'm just going to run this one line, and then that's going to store our list inside of this variable. Okay, so that's the first part of what we need to do. So there's three things that we've just done. We've created our list as our template, as the basis of our custom template. This first line of PowerShell here, we're connecting to the SPO service, okay, with that command. And then what we're doing is we're using get SPO site script from list, a new command here, and we're going to store that in our extracted variable while at the same time we're passing in the URL of our list in question. Now the next part of the workshop, we're going to step through how we now go about and add this list that we've just extracted to become available for our users. So the next step in the process is using or adding what we call an SPO site script. All right, and the command we need to run to add our SPO site script is this command here. And it's add SPO site script. We pass in the title of our script. We pass in a description of our script. Now the content of this script is the contents that we've just stored in the line above in that extracted variable. So that's the line of code that we need to run. So I'm just gonna, again, I'll just run this line in isolation, and you can see down the bottom here on the output, we've now got and have created a site script. Now, an important thing to note here is the ID, because we need to use this ID now in the next command where we're going to add a list design. So let me just grab the code or the line of PowerShell here that we are going to use for that command. So we can see, let me just expand this up. We can see here that we've now got an add SPO list design. So not the add SPO site script, but it is a list design command here. Again, we pass in a title, which can be different from the site script, a description. Now the site script here is where we need to grab the ID that we just received back from adding the site script. So I'm just going to paste this in this location right here. So we're passing in the ID of that site script. Now, a couple of things here. We can pass in a thumbnail URL. All right, so that's when we go to our list. So let me just jump back into, actually, let's just do that from within SharePoint. It'll be the same thing. So if we go to home of this sales and marketing site and we go new list, on our from organization tab, or in here, we can see that these are the thumbnails. So that's the image that gets displayed there as part of that command. So we pass in a thumbnail URL, which is just a URL to an image that I've got stored in a document library. in the root SharePoint site that we have. We then have the list color, so it's an orange color, and then we also have the list icon, which is the bullseye target. Okay, so they're the three additional properties here that we pass through. Okay, so I am going to grab this, highlight this line, and again, I'm just going to run that in isolation. So again here, now what we've got is now we've created our list design. Okay, this does have an ID as well. We can get the IDs of these things back too, and we'll move on to that in the next part of the workshop. But now what we should have is a list template that we can now provision. So if we jump back into this SharePoint site, I'll just refresh the page here, and I will go to New List. And now, not from Microsoft, but from your organization, what we'll see here is our brand new custom list that's using our template that we just created. We've got our nice image for the thumbnail. Now, when I click this, we can see that we get a preview of the list itself, and then we can use this template. So let's just create and use this template, and let's have a look at what happens. So let's go for create a new name, custom issue tracker, like so, and we'll create that. So that's now going to spin this new list up from our template. Now you can see that we've got everything in play. We had the issue category, all right, so we moved things around, we removed the image column, we added this issue category column, and we moved it and changed the view. That's all come through as well. And when I click new, you can see that we've got our fields here that we've created, and you can see the issue categories. Remembering we left them as choice 1, 2, and 3. They've come through and they're now ready to use. All right. So now what we've done is we've now moved from grabbing and extracting the list as a template, and we've now added that list as a usable template for us, for everybody to use. Now, what if we just wanted to make this list available to certain users? All right, so what we can do also is grant rights only to certain people. All right, now let me just bring across our PowerShell window again. So what we can do is, let me just enter in on a new line here. So what we can see here is we can now also run grant SBO site design rights, the identity, which is the list design ID to apply the rights to. So remembering that we got an ID when we added this SBO list design. So what we can do here is we can grab our ID, let's copy that, and we can then paste that ID in there. I'm just going to pop that in talking marks there, and we've got our principals, and these are the user accounts that will have access to our particular list. All right, so let's grab admin. So I'll use the admin account here, and I'll paste that in there, and let's run this command now. So I'll run this down the bottom here. That's now run, and that has now been created. So let me just refresh this and make sure, because I am logged in as admin here. So we'll log in as admin, and then we'll just make sure that this admin account has still got access to that list. So let's go new list. We'll go from your organization, and you can see this user does have access. So now I'm logged in as Deborah. Now remembering that we've just set permissions on that template, so Deborah here shouldn't have any visibility over that template. So we've still got all the Microsoft templates here. Now when I click on from your organization, you can see that she doesn't have access, because what we set was this design rights only to the admin user. All right. So what we can do then is have different types of templates that then become available to different users or different groups of users as well. So you can then now start to think about having some really custom list templates that are delivered to the right people so that they can use the right lists that is relevant to them. Now, what about removing all of these if we need to remove or we need to look or get the IDs back again? So there are a few commands that I will bring across here now. Is this particular command here is get SPO list design. So what we want to do here is when we run this, we can then get the IDs of the list design specifically, and you can see that we've got the ID there. Now you can see the next command to remove our list ID is this command here. So all we need to do is we just need to pass in the ID of that list design. So let me just paste in that right there, and we can run that line of code there. And what's going to happen, that list design has now been removed. We can then go ahead and remove the SPO site script. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to scroll up a little bit where we added our SPO site script. And I'm going to grab the ID of this, and I'm then going to pass that in there. And I'll just run that removes SPO site script line of code right there, and I will hit enter and run that. So now we've removed the SPO list design and the SPO site script. Now let's see what happens. So I'm logged in as Deborah here. Let's go back to admin. So we'll close this. Let's just give this a refresh, and we'll go to new list. And then we can see all our Microsoft ones. And then when we go from organization, that list has now been removed. All right. So not only can we extract and then deploy our lists and control who can access those lists and who can use those, we can also then go and reverse things and remove those lists and the list designs and the SPO site scripts. So there we have it. A complete workshop on how you can create your own custom list templates for use across your organization, not only for everybody, but you can control who can use those and who can see specific templates. So I hope that brings you some value. Thanks for making your way through that workshop, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.